Thank you for joining us again for our Mingle Mastermind. This week, we're talking about creating products for the beauty industry. And I really love this topic because although Fashion Mingle tends to focus on topics that are very specific to fashion, the beauty industry has a ton of crossover, and so many fashion brands and designers are actually creating their own scents. I thought it's a great opportunity to get everybody together to talk about the ways that you can do that, but also people who are members of Fashion Mingle that are in the fashion space and the beauty space. So welcome to everybody who's here. We have our regular panelists. We're so grateful that Kat Schuller's here. How are you doing, Kat?
I'm good. I'm good. Had a good week. Can't wait to talk to everybody about this topic. I love it because a lot of people want to know how to deal with the beginning brands and how to market it. It's really and since we're pivoting, you know, it's an open field now. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And we've got Sharon, who is our resident legal expert. How are you doing? Are you still in Montenegro?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Oh, sympathy card.
If I told you what I was just doing right now, you would hate me. We came to the coast for the weekend, and it's just gorgeous, beautiful sunset. I had a mojito in one hand, a cigar in the other. So
we hate you. You're not allowed on this mastermind.
Oh my God!
You come back to New York and suffer like the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. It's raining and nasty here.
Or we'll lit.
I know, but happy to be here as always.
Such a beautiful
planet
to
hearing from everyone
Such
today.
an amazing planet.
Awesome. Okay, we've got Dee. Hi, Dee. How are you doing?
Hi, everybody. Happy National Boss Day, which is today.
National Food Day, too.
Bosses out there.
Oh, hell. Oh, you know what? Thank you so much. And we actually just have Sue popping in, and Caroline, I think, is popping in. So let's see. And then we have Dale, who is our owner of True Model Management, our expert on all things modeling. How are you doing, Dale?
I'm doing great. I'm in the office today. Things are picking up and looking up, even though it's dreary and rainy outside, but I'm very excited to meet all the panelists and for everyone to share some knowledge and information.
Well, and I'm just so thrilled that you're actually in an office in New York City. You have business. That's a very good sign.
Yep, things are picking up.
Fabulous. Well, let's introduce our special guest that we have today, Abby Wallach. Abby, I've known you for several years, and you do such creative things in the fashion industry, and I know you also work with Caroline. So, Abby, tell us about Scentinvent technology and your new product that you just released this year called Sparti Scents.
Yeah, so thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here. And all of you, great to see you again, Melissa. So we, Caroline and I, who's down on the bottom, we created an innovation company about 7 years ago called Scentinvent Technologies, and we had a mission and a vision to create new forms, new functions, and new levels of fantasy in the category. When we started was to offer the consumer a new way of experiencing fragrance through new textures, through new formats, through new delivery systems, without alcohol, without oil. We had a very big vision many, many years ago. And now that vision has become a reality, which is very exciting. And we actually just launched our brand into the market on D2C. It's super cute. It's called Sparti Scents, and it's all about a scent celebration. And the first product that we launched is something called a scent cooler, and it comes in a swivel stick, and it's pretty and playful and portable, and you take it. We're rocking it.
Show us.
Sure. Oh, well, of course, if you're going to ask, by all means. So it's super cute. Well, come on, you know, I'm in the entertainment business, right? So it comes in a super cute little package filled with confetti, all recyclable, gold and white confetti in this little product. This is called a scent cooler, and it comes in a little swivel stick. Okay, and this is all owned by Scentinvent Technologies. So that the company we set out to found many years ago. And
what a name. I love it.
thank you. That's so kind of you. So you swivel it up. This is our dance party. If you could see, actually, the fun story
Party
name. He was making
I
fun
love
of me. He
these
said, "Oh,
things
just
with
call it a
humor.
Sparti." It's like, make it a fun party.
Yeah.
So yeah, we launched 3 months ago. We're rocking it out online. We're doing lots of cool things. We have 30 ambassadors around the country. It's very young. It's very hip. And yeah, we're excited that people are really and enjoying the fragrance. So check it out. Super fun. I'm very excited to be here. My partner down over there, Caroline.
Yeah,
we did
Caroline, how are you now? Caroline, you're in this business with Abby, but you also have a family business as well that's in fragrance. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Melissa, thanks so much for having us both on. It's a pleasure to be with you all. Yes, I've always been in the beauty business. I was actually at Clarins Cosmetics for many years as the head of marketing. I had a wonderful German husband who had an advertising background, and he actually started a company using fragrance as a branding agent, and his company was Scent Marketing Inc. Unfortunately, he passed away about 10 years ago of a sudden heart attack, and I inherited his company, very small and fledgling with one client at the time, Hyatt Hotels, but a namesake enough client that I decided to learn the business. And over time, not only did I learn the business, but actually really fell in love with the business. So my family business is really a love story. It's a legacy. It's a passion. And over the last 10 years, we've been very, very grateful to build the business up to do business not only with Hyatt, but the One Hotel, Baccarat, H&M, North Face, Waterline Square, real estate, many different amazing clients. And Scent Marketing has definitely found its stride as more and more people try to augment their brand experiences and make them memorable and really create that sense of loyalty with customers. And I'm so excited to see Sue Phillips today. We've known Sue for so many years. We haven't been able to chat recently with everything that's going on, but Sue, it's so good to see you and so great to be on the panel with you and the other panelists. And thanks so much, Melissa, for having us.
Well,
Did you flip your camera, Caroline?
Oh, yeah, you can
flip
move the camera that way.
So you're more horizontal.
Oh, like this?
Oh, where were you? She's talking about like so it would be, yeah, it's not quite working, but anyway. So Sue, thank you for joining us. And Sue's got a really interesting business because she creates scents for brands and also for your own personal brand. So like you as an individual can create your own scent. Tell us how that works, Sue.
Sure. Thank you, Melissa. And wonderful to see you and Vera Moore, who I met ages ago. Hi, Vera.
Oh,
and
that's
Santorella. Lovely to see you. And
Yes.
of course, Caroline, thank you for that lovely welcome. And Abby and everybody else, it's great to see you. So my company is Scenterprises. And I have actually been in the fragrance industry for longer than probably all of you are old, about 40 years. I've had a corporate career at Elizabeth Arden, then Lancôme, then I was vice president of Tiffany. I created and developed the Tiffany fragrance, and then started consulting and doing fragrances for Burberry, Trish McEvoy, Avon. In 2008, when the financial market crash happened, I had to sort of re-image my business. And coming from South Africa, the term bespoke was an English term, and of course it really means customization, and it really referred to clothing, British clothing, and tailoring for the very wealthy, the nobility, and so on. And I thought, well, why not customization for fragrance? And I started to develop fragrances. I developed 18 beautiful perfumes and started to create custom fragrance initiatives. And people said to me, what are you doing? Tupperware parties for perfume? And they laughed. Well, lo and behold, it's now become such a huge trend. Customization, signature scents, bespoke perfume. And my company is really all things scent, Scenterprises. So I created custom fragrances for corporations, team building events, corporate events, and individuals. Interestingly enough, many, many corporations are looking for innovative, interactive, experiential events. And how's that possible? through fragrance, which is our most powerful sense. So we've done corporate events for AOL, Google, Pinterest, Wells Fargo, Lincoln Navigator, many, many top clients, Zurich Financial, as well as MetLife, as well as many celebrities. So we've created fragrances for Jamie Foxx, Katie Holmes, Zendaya, and they are just amazing because they love to have their own fragrance too, as well as individuals. So I just moved my fragrance studio where I was downtown in Tribeca for 7 years, and because of COVID and the confluence of situations, I'm now on the Upper East Side in a beautiful boutique, in the Vanessa Noelle boutique. And thankfully, touch wood, business has actually been on the uptick. We've had amazing clients who have found us by appointment to create their own custom fragrances. And what's remarkable is now that customization is really at the forefront of people wanting to create their own brands. So think about selfies. Everybody is a brand these days through selfies, through Instagram, Facebook, and so on. And now they're saying, well, if I'm my own brand, they don't quite say it like that, but the idea is they can really create their own custom fragrance and have their own brand. So that's what we do. It's wonderful. I'm so excited that I'm able to help people develop and find a fragrance that really suits who they are. And I will tell you honestly, the response that they get when they create a fragrance and they actually spray their fragrance, which is this interactive fun swivel, and we have it in different colors and different sizes, the results have been so emotional. One woman whose grandfather was the manager for Muhammad Ali, and he came up with the expression, float like a butterfly, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. When she created her fragrance, suddenly all the ingredients that she remembered as a child came to the forefront, and she actually started to cry. And she called her fragrance Nola Bee, from New Orleans, and the bee. And so those are the results that I find palpable, that people could create their own fragrance, and it's so genuine and so part of their DNA that they get emotional. So that's what I love to do, and I'm thrilled to be here to tell you about that. Thank you, Vanessa.
Business model, and I think it's something that's just such a useful resource for brands. So you and Vera know each other from way back. So Vera, it's really great to have you on, and you have a family-owned cosmetic company. Tell us about Vera Moore Cosmetics.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say hello to everyone, and thank you, Melissa, for inviting me, and Dee for recommending me. Hello, hello, hello. Do I know you, Catherine? You said hello like you knew me.
No.
Oh, that's just what you do.
I know it's well.
All right, well, and
you do now.
Everyone, hello. I didn't have a legacy of beauty business. My background was all theater. I always wanted to be in the theater. I'll make it quick. I always wanted to be in the theater. I sang in church, and I had to get a job in the beginning. Right out of high school, I got a job. I was 18 because I had to work. I came from a poor family, so I knew I had to take stenography and typing in order to work because I had to help my mother. My mother was a domestic worker. My father was a porter, and she had a third-grade education. So right out of high school, I got a job working for the federal government customs. And I always had a plan, though. I said, I'm going to stay at home, and I'm going to save my money, and then I'm going to, go into the theater. And fast forward, I had a wonderful boss. His name was Melvin Greenberg, and I couldn't have made it without this guy. I would go to my auditions on my lunch hour. Now, if you know New York, from Bowling Green to New York, to Midtown, that's a long way on your lunch hour. So you had to, you had to dress a certain way.
That's your whole lunch hour to get there.
Exactly. So you had to dress a certain way because I was in the law division. And then when you got uptown, I had my stuff in my bag. This is a true story. I had my stuff in my bag because I had to change my clothes because I was getting to do the theater. So
like
I was always late. I'd get back to the office and he'd say, Vera, did you get it? And I'd say, no, Mel, I didn't get it. But, fast forward 5 years. 5 years I did this, back and forth on my lunch hour. But I honed my skills on the weekends. Friday, I went to Herbert Berghoff. I don't know if you know the acting class, Bank Street, for 10 years. And I did a lot of things. Studied music, studied dance. I came back. Mel, guess what? I got it. You got it? Yeah. So what are you going to do? I'm going to quit. You're going to quit? Vera, you're going to quit a federal government job with annual leave, sick leave, whatever, you know what they gave you. How long is this gig? Well, it's called summer stock, so I think it's only 6 weeks. Are you crazy? I did it. I did. So that was letting go of the trunk of the tree, going out of the limb, because that was my passion. That was my desire. And then I did Broadway. I did Pearly Victorious for 4 years with Vera Moore. I did Teaspoon Every Hour with Jackie Mason. I traveled with Kathleen Battle, the opera singer, for 2 years.
Wow.
Fantastic.
What a story.
Yeah, there's more to it, but we don't have the time, so we'll have to do that. So, because I'm fast forwarding, but I have to know how I got into the cosmetic business. So my first major contract was with NBC, Channel 4. They were having their first not black soap opera, but first black family on Channel 4. Now that was a big deal. We're talking about big deal. I mean, that was huge. There was no black family on national television. I mean, diversity wasn't there. Mark, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You know, not a lot of diversity. Can we be candid? Are we talking transparency? Or are we trying to be candid?
We absolutely did on Mingle Mastermind.
You go, girl.
Who said that? You go.
I did. I'm from that business. You go,
No
girl.
F-bombs,
Okay,
that's all.
all right. The point is this. So when I went for my audition for Another World, you know, they did the best they could with what they had, which was insufficient. I mean, come on, we're the first black family. I'm obviously black. Am I not? I mean, I wasn't, you know, black people, in case you don't know it, and you may do know it, we range from white to blue black. Black is your frying pan. So if I was a brighter hue, a fairer hue, then maybe I could have worn bis or nude or something, but I couldn't. So what they had out there at the time was very insufficient. It was red, it was oily, it was greasy, it rubbed all off of my clothes. And I was Linda Metcalf, the nurse, Dr. Matthews' office, may I help you? Bay City General, national television, was all over my clothes. Now, this is true. All over my clothes, all over the phone, because, let me see how I can say this. You know, we weren't catered to, forget catered to, we weren't even on the radar. Black women were not on the radar, especially if you were a pitch black woman. And I say that like a Viola Davis, you guys following me, or Whoopi Goldberg, we weren't on the radar. Forget it. You know, there were so many inequities, not only with the product, but how you were treated. So I said, okay, all right. And as far as the lipstick and the powder and the paint, that's later. Do you know the reason why I got into cosmetics? It's for empowerment. Because I wanted to let the black woman know, unapologetically, she don't have to apologize for who she is. I mean, you know, they had a low self-esteem. And you correct me, Mark, if I'm wrong, because you're black. And, hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't know this man. You know,
what you said.
Identifying here. You know, they have very low self-esteem. You know, if they were dark, they say, you know, Vera, I'm dark. Do you have a color for me? Or my lips are too big. Or my hips are too big. Or blah, blah, blah. I mean, you know, you guys are putting needles in your lips to make them bigger.
Yeah.
Right? Some of you.
Women of a darker hue were just not even seen as beautiful.
No.
So
what year was this, Vera?
So why bother? They thought, you know.
70s. Well, it's still, look, it just transferred now. I mean,
right.
We candid because of Black Lives Matter.
Right.
But in essence, we were not catered to. And I didn't learn, yes, I can from Obama. I learned, yes, I can from my grandmother who scrubbed floors and my mother. I always believed in myself. We were 7 children. We were on welfare. I knew who I was. I just thank God that I don't have a sad story for you. I have the best mother and father in the world. They told me I could do this. Vera, be what you want to do. You know, I didn't go to college, but it doesn't matter. You know, I knew who I was, and that's my foundation. So when I was confronted with these inequities 30, 40 years ago, you think it was difficult? If it wasn't difficult to go on Another World, the first black family, I wasn't invited to all the parties. It was okay. I honed my skills, I did my job, and I got paid. This is national television. I was on Another World for 12 years, 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a wow. So, you know, this is, and that's why I got into it, because there was such low self. I wasn't raised about black and white. It really wasn't. I got to tell you the truth. I went to a very integrated school, Flushing High School. I lived on an integrated block, so I didn't know about, you know, if you're dark, you can't do this. I just wasn't raised that way, so it was like a cultural shock to me, really. So this is why I did it. It was all about self-esteem. It wasn't about the lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
It was about breaking barriers, leveling the playing field. That's why. You ever heard of Green Acres Mall? Anybody ever heard of Green Acres Mall? Well, it's a prestigious mall on Long Island. This wasn't a rinky-dinky mall on the 15th floor around the corner. This is the mall that everybody went to. I integrated that mall.
Mm-hmm.
Was it difficult? Heck yes. But was I going to be deterred? No, they tried to deter me. I was promised the first floor. They put me on the second floor in the food court. Did I take it? I would have taken it. I would have taken it just to break the color barrier for people that look like me. Now, don't misunderstand. I have product. You guys can buy a good, beautiful product. Look at the website. But my market wasn't you. You were not my market.
Mm-hmm.
You had choices. You know, I got great colors. Visit the website. But my market was a niche for the black woman, for the void in the market. And they were so happy. They were so, when I broke that color barrier in Green Acres Mall, they said, Vera, are you in the mall? How did you do that? Through the grace of God, I did it.
Yeah.
Did I talk too much?
Well, let's bring in Marc. We've got 3 more people to introduce. So, Marc, I know we've had you on our Diversity in the Fashion Industry series, and we've talked about this particular issue as well. How and you're a professional makeup artist, professional hairstylist, and you actually started your own line of cosmetics, Marc Harvey Beauty, to address that issue in and of itself.
I did. You know, thank you so much for having me, and hello, everyone. You know, I saw really on the pro side that I personally did not have the products that I always needed to create like I wanted to, right? And so I have to say that, and I think I've told you this before, me creating my brand really, you know, it wasn't selfish, because they say the nature of all invention is, you know, you kind of needing your need for something. And so I felt not only did the industry not have it, but in order for me to be as effective and efficient as an artist, and for me to be able to prove what I already knew, because I have 2 chocolate sisters that, you know, I'm just the apple of their eye, to prove that, guess what? Black women have always been beautiful to me. And so you have me on these photo shoots and behind the scenes at Fashion Week and you know, with models and actors. I actually started out in the modeling industry and working with several agencies. You know, you have me as this expert, but I don't have the tools that I need to transform, you know, these girls, or just to, you know, make them more beautiful than what they really already were, right? So that was the impetus behind my creating Marc Harvey Beauty. And it just has turned into, because it's airbrush makeup, so it already is a niche, right? It already is a niche type product. It's not something that I thought would be on every vanity in the country, right? We all know that, right? I know that women are still going to be intimidated because it's a tool. And so, you know, I was the first, though, to introduce it to the masses on Home Shopping Network, the first African-American male to actually sell and not be on as just the artist, to sell cosmetics on Home Shopping Network for 4 years, and the Shopping Channel Canada. And so that was my thing, was introducing beauty innovation, right? Because that is what airbrushing is, right? And so that's the abbreviated
version
of my story as well. It's just, and the same thing with my skincare line is, you know, I grew up using all very organic. My mother was a very holistic person. She never used lots of makeup or hair products or anything. Like, sometimes I wonder, like, like, who did I come from? Like, how did she, who did this Devo come from? She is so natural. She is just very, very natural. But that was why I wanted to create the skincare line, because then as I grew up, I started seeing that, oh, well, guess what? Organic products work the best for me as well. And I quickly found that they worked really well for my clients as well. So I said, you know, let me create something that I feel everyone can benefit from. Myself and my mother included. Like I said, she's very sensitive to all types of chemicals and things like that. So it really was, that was a labor of love for sure. So the My Skincare product is a clean beauty product, as well as a spa grade product, because we have two lines within the brand. So I have my essentials line, and then I have the lines that the line that is rolling out into spas. So
very cool. Oh, that's awesome. And you've also brought along Ian McLean, and Ian, you've actually got Marc's link instead of your link, so it says Marc Harvey on your image, but everybody, this is Ian.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How you doing? I'm the other Marc Harvey.
Yes.
With the real Marc Harvey, please stand up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's actually taller than me, so he's the real Marc Harvey.
You're the one with the cute accent.
that's right.
Thank you.
You
Thank
actually
you.
have a background in the creative industry, but you've actually started a new brand called Shy Girl Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's actually not a new brand. It's actually I come from a mainstream advertising background, and primarily I worked in marketing and selling to feminine products. That's been my whole career. And I actually came across Shy Girl when I first met Marc, because I was doing a lot of work for the brand Rodial out of the UK. Do you know the skincare range Rodial?
I don't
What's that?
take care of my skin, but go ahead.
So the
It's a very
actual
high-end
brand
skincare line. It's
Yeah,
really
very
great.
high
Yeah,
end.
it's a very high-end skincare line. It's fairly big, isn't it, Marc?
Yeah, it is.
In Europe, it's
like a
pretty
Laszlo
big.
type of,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's in your
That's right.
Neiman's and Nordstroms and Saks. Yeah.
Yeah. I see out in LA now, they're in Planet Beauty as well, and and I think Blue Mercury, some of the higher end boutiques in Los
I
Angeles.
think I saw them in Fred Siegel, when I first saw them.
Yeah, they got a massive store in Harrods when you go to London, like a Bobby Brown kind of Mac store, the Rodeo. So I was working for them, doing a lot of their marketing, a lot of their campaigns. I shot a lot of their commercials, and we were in Houston, and I got introduced to Marc and another lady who was a beauty rep. And they introduced me to this. I was looking to do a brand, do my own cosmetic line. And so this brand, it was actually a low-end lipstick brand that was in Costco in the southern states of the United States. And so I went to the owner and I said, let me buy half the brand and I'll take it and make it a more of a mainstream brand. And so in the last 3 years, we added, we bought the company, we bought into the company, the factory, and we got very involved in the making of it. And we changed the whole image. We rebranded it Shy Girl Los Angeles, because this is where the marketing side of it is done. And the factory's in Dallas. We took it and we elevated it, and we turned it into an all-natural vegan brand that was in the nude ranges, primarily targeting African Americans and Latinos and sort of the female population that has a bit more of a color in their skin tone. So we narrowed the marketing niche right down and
What's the name of it, Ian?
It's Shy Girl.
Shy, like I'm shy?
Shy
Yeah,
Girl.
S-H-Y.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, if you go to shygirl.com, you'll see the website. We're right in the middle of a soft launch with Marc. And Marc's come on board now as a creative director with Shy Girl. And also we're making a video chat show with Marc as hosting it, where he talks a lot and interviews a lot of girls as they're getting makeovers done with Shy Girl. So that,
Oh, nice.
yeah, that campaign's rolling out. Well, we're going to start shooting it at the end of this month. And we're getting females who have great, interesting backstories. I mean, you ladies have fantastic backstories. And I mean, like, I'm sitting here going, oh, I'd like to do you in the show. I'd like to have you in the show. And then we'll run it on our digital platforms, obviously, and the influencer platforms that we have. But we'll make the show very much like a Maybelline type commercial. So it has a very high production value, because that's the world that I came out of, and that's what we've been doing with Shy Girl. So it's taken a couple of years to actually build the company and the infrastructure and the factory and all. There's been a lot of, you know, problems and you know, trial and error to get it right. And now we have our 5 heroes that I'm really pushing on a big scale, production wise, and making, you know, we've got a lot of campaigns ready to get shot, and we'll be using a variety of, we just did a shoot a couple of months ago, Marc.
Yes.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. And we had Blaine and Nicole, and Blaine's Latino, isn't she?
Yes. Yes. She's
and
a pageant.
Nicole,
Miss Houston.
Yeah.
USA 2019.
Yeah. So and so we're going to start really. We're going to turn Marc Harvey into a very much the spokesperson and the visual presenter of Shy Girl with the show. I've met Jeffree Star on a number of occasions. I've studied his work. I've reverse engineered. I've looked at how he's become quite the phenomenal, you know, media darling. And it's not that hard to do. You've just got to have the right personality. And we found that with Marc, and we said, look, we want you to come on board as creative director and be the front man and be part of the Shy Girl world. So that's a little bit about
having the stories behind the people using the product.
Yes.
Really, the narrative is so key. That's brilliant.
And technically, Ian is being very modest, but Ian has worked with every brand, every huge brand, from L'Oreal to Maybelline to America's Next Top Model to he understands how to shoot beauty. But like you're saying, it is having a story, you know, and hopefully, you know, I'm able
people love it.
Correct. People love a story.
Yeah.
They resonate with the brand then.
Absolutely. And having a face, putting a face to the brand, and them understanding that it is coming from someone who understands beauty on a different level, you know. So yeah.
Well, and speaking of having a story, Mary Santorella is our last guest that I want to introduce. And Mary actually is a writer. She's in the beauty and fashion industry on the media side. And so you write about beauty and fragrance all the time. So now you've got a whole bunch of stories.
I know. You know, Melissa, I'm sitting here salivating.
Yeah.
I'm saying all these great stories. I have so many questions for so many people. I'm loving every one of you. Thank you so much, Mel, for having me. This is intriguing for me. I want to see your products. Abby, I loved your pitch. I want to know how you use it. Marc, I want to see what that product looks like. I am a branding maniac.
Love it.
You're a branding junkie.
I am a branding maniac. And I have all these questions. You've given me so much content right now that I can in my column. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. Can I give a shout out to Sue Phillips?
Absolutely.
Sue, you're phenomenal in
Oh my
fragrance.
God. Why?
Yeah.
You are. I've known Sue. We have chatted and emailed for a while, and she's probably not speaking to me because I was supposed to come visit her and I never did get over.
Don't be
I came
silly.
down to your emporium in Soho.
Yeah, but come on, you're one of the
It
greats.
was beautiful.
In fragrance. You really
Thank
are.
you.
It was
And
so funky.
you promised to make me a Chanel No. 5 cologne, so I'm gonna go over and collect on it.
Mary, are you in New York?
I'm back and forth. I'm Jersey and New York. I'm back
Well,
and forth.
I would
That's close.
absolutely love to see you, and I think
Okay,
you'll
love to
love
see
the
you.
new boutique on 64th Street. Please, please, please. Hopefully, Mel, you'll share all our emails, but I'd love to see any and each and all of you. I know, Caroline, you were supposed to come 7-8 years ago, darling, to Tribeca, but now it's even closer. We're on 64th Street. So listen, you know what? There's no such thing as blame. There's no such, we're all busy. We're all got our own businesses. The fact that we're on this wonderful podcast or this Zoom, and thank you, Melissa, for bringing us together. I think it's wonderful that we all have our stories and that we all are so passionate about what we do. And isn't that at the end of the day what it's all about?
Right. Absolutely.
I think too, we all need to help each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
We really need to really work with each other and help each other. We're all doing phenomenal in our certain little spheres of life, but we need to help each other and continue this. Because I've just heard so many incredible stories. In fact, the reason why I didn't say anything, I was mesmerized. And I'm going, I'm not even going to say a word. I'm just going to listen. You know, and we're doing a wonderful job with Fashion Mingle, bringing this. And I want to give you credit, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be sitting here today.
Well, we're all about networking, and this is a perfect example of bringing people together. Some of you are in New York, some of you are spread out across the United States, but you know that this is what this is how we're networking now, because we don't have the opportunity to get together in person. And so I am just thrilled to have everybody from such a variety of backgrounds, and obviously there's lots of opportunities for synergy here to work together. I want to get into some of our questions so our audience can learn from you guys about the things that we've been telling them they're going to learn about. And so Caroline, I'd actually like to start out with you. Because I wanted to talk to you with your background and your, the family business that you have been involved in all of these years. I want to talk about white space and this idea of if you want to create a beauty product or a fragrance product, cosmetics, how do you figure out a niche for you to jump into with such a crowded space?
Yeah, terrific question. For, as you know, as I've been building up my family business, I actually started a beauty consulting practice called Beauty Fluence LLC, and out of that created brands like Pharmacy, which is Sephora, very successful, Versed, which is a Target, and participated in many other brands you would all know to help to develop them. So white space analysis, whether it's in the beauty or the fragrance space, is really important because it can be a very competitive space, but I still believe there is white space to be found. And one of the first things that we would do is really to assess the brand that we're working on, to understand its unique DNA, its unique characteristics, to really define its backstory. And when it comes to a product perspective, what makes the products unique, different, and special, and then lay that against the inventory, against the industry and the industry inventory, and to really sort of understand what this brand is doing that is unique and different. Now, if we're not seeing so many differences, then it's to really dig deeper and understand within the competitive landscape what's missing and plug into that. And we do that through assessing brands that we admire, looking at their products, their packaging, their pricing, their promotionality, their social responsibility, their following, and then mapping that out on a perceptual map and sort of looking for where is that white space. And then on the brand that we're working with, how can we either tailor that brand story, tailor that brand positioning to be able to create that white space. So it's a super important exercise. It's one that I think we should all continuously do with our brands actually every year. I don't think it's a one and done. I think it's something that we should always be looking to make sure that we're relevant, make sure we're filling a need, which is really what the white space is, filling that unmet need. So very important part of how we build brands, and great question. Thank you.
And that's a really good point, because that reassessing every year, I think that's probably a good tip for anybody in any kind of business, is to really reassessing whether or not what your target market is, and that you're actually creating your product or your service to serve a niche that needs to be filled. So I would definitely recommend people contact Caroline about those consulting services, because it's really great as well to have someone look at your business from the outside in and see what you're missing. Creating the products is like the core of what you have to figure out how to do. Obviously, working with a consultant can get you on the right path in the most efficient, cost-effective manner. But Abby, I'd like for you, if you could tell us a little bit about, because I think your first product was Linger. Is that the one? So,
yes.
That is like the true definition of white space, because that's like a primer for your fragrance, which is like not even something I'd ever heard of that you needed when I met you. So tell us about how you came up with that idea, and also what it was like just getting the product created.
Sure. I have very different backgrounds, but we're always thinking along the same lines, and we've been friends for many years. So the whole business actually began because I was visiting her in her garage, and I said, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we reinvented the way consumers would wear fragrance? And she said, yeah, well, I think it would even be cool that everyone could wear under their fragrance to make it last a little bit longer. So we worked very diligently for about 2 to 3 years with multiple chemists, and with a very clear vision, with my marketing and entertainment vision and Caroline's skincare and product development background, to create a product that you could lay down on your arm under any fragrance that you would wear. So it was not an easy product to create. It took a very long time. We did a lot of work in terms of focus groups, working with Sniffapalooza, lots of people to assess if this was really a good idea and if it could be a big thing in the world. And the feedback was pretty powerful. People loved the idea that to just make their fragrance last a little bit longer, they could put down this fragrance accessory. So when we finally got it to market, and it wasn't even just about the formulation. It was about the bottle. It was about the sprayer. We wanted it to feel like a beautiful jewel next to your other fragrances. We never wanted it to take away from the beautiful fragrances that sit on your vanity. We wanted it to be an asset and an accessory. But that actual and challenging because it was more like a skincare product and not a fragrance. There's no alcohol, there's no oil. It took a very, very long time to figure out the right sprayer, the right dip tube, all of the pieces that would make this a success. So after diligently working with many, many different product houses and packaging houses, we finally came up with a solution, which was a beautiful bottle that we had a fine mist sprayer, so the product would lay gently over your skin and like lay down to create an invisible shield. And that invisible shield was what would hold and cap to your skin. So we ended up, it was actually a very interesting journey and a very interesting almost case study to experience this, because we spent a lot of time and a lot of money doing research and really understanding the customer and the consumer's ideas and interests. So we launched on Home Shopping Network, incredibly successful. And what we found was that they were so excited about the idea of linger that they would put it with every single fragrance that they had. So all of the Elizabeth Arden fragrances were on there. They would put linger with that product as this fragrance accessory, which was pretty brilliant. That's what we wanted, but the idea was now it was being sold with every fragrance, so that was very compelling. And then we sold out our product, and what we did was now actually we're in the process of repackaging it. We feel that the customer loved it. It was a beautiful product. It got great traction, but there's a new way to reinvent of packaging. So that's something also that we're focusing on under Scentinvent Technologies. And we have some other exciting opportunities and deals in the workflow that will be announced soon that we can share with you when they're out there. So it's really cool.
Well, you bring up it's great. The white space story, I think, is so fantastic because the fact that your product could go with all these other name brand products as household names was such a stroke of genius to come up with something like that. And I'm always fascinated about how you actually create products because I'm on the technology side. So I'm always about, building software and using code and stuff. So I've never had experience actually building a physical product. So it is amazing how many layers there are to think of when you're putting out that one bottle.
Well, you know what? It really was. I mean, Caroline and I worked so hard. They sort of led us in this direction. And, every little piece nothing's available it's not like a one-shot deal, right? You're looking for each piece to put in the puzzle, so to speak. So it was a very interesting process that we learned to, in a way that would really speak to her and make it beautiful so it would look lovely in her fragrance wardrobe. But at the same time, it was really challenging, I have to say. And then when we finally were able to go into production and manufacturing, it was like, we had so much fun, right, Kat? It was like, we're going to have the baby. We captured it all on film. I had my iPhone. I'm a producer, and nobody knows that. I spent my career in entertainment. But it was so exciting. And you know what? To see these people on this, what's it called? The line, the manufacturing line, and every little piece, I have to say, I watched these videos, every little and with such tender loving care, and we're going up to them and introducing ourselves. It was really a fascinating experience to see it come to life, I have to say. So super fun. Lots of exciting things in the pipeline that we will share with you very, very soon. Long time in the making.
Marc, when you decided to create your first brand, obviously you had to go to a manufacturer. So is that for cosmetics, is that called a chemist as well?
It is. And because, what I was doing really wasn't reinventing the wheel, but it was definitely something that I wanted to show my fellow artists and consumers alike that I really had taken a little bit more time into choosing ingredients, right? So my big thing was all about the ingredients, right? This is not just a paint. This is not just something that is going to spray on your face like you're probably used to all the airbrush makeup being, right? The special occasion makeup, right? And I think a lot of people still do think of airbrush that way. So I wanted to create something where everyone felt like, oh wow, well, not only does this look much better on my skin, but I was hoping that I was dispelling the preconception of it being just for special occasions, because it does have now, 8 organic extracts, and it's really great for your skin, and you can wear it every day, all day, without it looking like you really have anything on. So yes, that was a big part of me creating the actual product, right? So for me, the focus was less about the machine right, the way in which you apply it on, as it was about what you are applying onto your skin.
So how did you find the suppliers, the resources to put the ingredients together you wanted, but you also had to come up with the applicator, right?
Right. So Marc Harvey Beauty is, creating a brand, or being on the R&D side of a brand was not my first, it wasn't my first rodeo, as they say. Every brand that I had worked with always had me. I was the diversity guy, even though they weren't paying me for being that. They just kind of always slipped me in there. Oh, well, Marc is our, African-American guy that understands, that skin tone and all of that. So I was always on that side of any brand that I worked for. So I understood. I was the creator and co-founder of Element 2, which is a Taiwanese company. I traveled to Taiwan. They wanted to get into beauty space. They were Sparmax was the company. They had been an OEM business for 25 years. And after seeing me on Home Shopping Network, they were like, hey, we've been selling our product for pennies, and now we want to get into that space where we can mark up our product, 13 times or whatever, 300%. And so I traveled to Taiwan, did that for them. Prior to that, I was the global director for Luminous Air. Prior to that, I was on the team for L'Oreal, right when Beyonce signed and they came out with all the hip products and the eyeshadows and even some of the hair products. So I have always known how to
on the inside
and sourcing and logistics and all of that. I've always understood.
That's cool. Well, Vera, so I mean, what year was it when you officially launched Vera Moore Cosmetics?
Well, I don't know the exact year, but it was in the 80s. My company started
in the 80s.
Yes, it was in the 80s, and it wasn't easy. And I'm identifying a lot with what Marc was saying. You start off with what you have then, but as you grow and you scale up, you really see the void and the need. And let's say I always go back to the darker hue because there was such a void in it. So that's where it was. And we spend trillions of dollars on hair and makeup. I wasn't purposely an educator, but coming from the theater, I knew color anyway. So
that's right.
Difference. And they would take, a hypothetical, I'll try to give you for instance, let's say they had a pitch black woman, okay? They put chocolate on her. Well, I'd say, she don't need no more chocolate, she's chocolate. It's like when you illuminize your hair, you give your hair a henna, to bring the highlights out of your hair. There's certain things, they weren't dealing with the undertones.
That's right. Yeah.
She's chocolate, give her cocoa. She didn't need cocoa, she was cocoa. Maybe she needed a lift to her skin. Maybe, she needed a little red. Maybe she needed a little yellow. So I just happened instinctively, because I was in the theater, for so long. So I guess I was a developer too, but that wasn't my forte. But
how many products do you have right now? Because you can actually buy all your products on your website, right?
Yeah, I have 158 SKUs.
158 different products.
Yeah, I have 100. We have, and I didn't mention because I didn't know if I was going to fast forward. Our mantra is skincare is the foundation, makeup is an accessory. Because as soon as you mention foundation, you think of color. My husband is a licensed esthetician for 40 years. That's what he was. My daughter's an esthetician for 15 years. So it was always about skincare, cleaning up the palette. And, out there when they did have whatever they had, they never advocate clean up your skin. They advocate cover up the floor. If you, this is a true story. People, when I was at Creator's Mall, they come to me and say, Vera, I got to cover up these moles. I'd say, honey, that is not a mole. It's a blackhead.
Yeah.
But I'm very serious. No, it's funny in a way, but it's not funny in a way because it's all about education.
Correct.
Because the main lines that were out there at the moment, at the time in the 70s, I'm not going to mention the lines because I'm not here to do that. They advocate just cover it up, get that flawless finish. Am I right? Just cover it up. But what happens when you remove the makeup?
Right.
You still confront with dryness, ashiness, exfoliation. What do you call it? You know, steam your face with a hot cloth. Clean your face.
Right. So
No,
you
I'm
have
dealing
to
with grassroots.
provide products for the entire range of a person's need. So I think that's a really important point.
Exactly.
I mean, for a company that you've had for so long, that's given you a lot of opportunity to figure out what kind of products your audience needs.
Yes, but it's all about education, because they don't know about it. And then also figuring out specific things for a product. People say, oh, you know, I'm oily, I don't need a moisturizer. No, you need a moisturizer. You don't want grease.
Right.
Yeah.
You need a moisturizer. So education is the key. It was difficult. It was extremely difficult, but very rewarding to me, because I've just always wanted to level the playing field. That's my life.
Yeah.
That's my life. I've always wanted to, you know, just level it, break the barrier. And I think we're getting ready to do some wonderful things too, so you'll have to have me on so I can tell you. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. I thought you were finished, but go ahead.
No, well, we're getting ready to do some wonderful things, so I'll come back and tell you when I get there.
Fabulous.
Thank you
Well,
very
I wanted
much.
to bring in Sharon, because as a lawyer, you have to work with brands to make sure that they're protecting what they are creating. So give us a little understanding of, if you want to create a beauty brand, what are some of the things you need to think about from a legal standpoint?
Thank you, Melissa. Yes, it's an absolutely important question. And I think, as Vera Moore put it, we have to start at the foundation. And the foundation for every company starts with forming an entity. You know, once you create something that is outside of you personally, it's not a hobby anymore. And if you want to take it seriously, there's a lot of risks, you know, related to any business. And so the first step is creating that entity, an LLC, an S Corp. It all depends on, you know, different factors. And that's why it's important to work with a lawyer and an accountant, so that you are set up truly for success for your particular business. You know, there's different, you know, legal benefits and tax benefits depending on what it is. So the first step is essentially setting up the entity to protect yourself from liability for that business risk. And then from there, you start developing that foundation with, you know, your partners. Who are you working with? You know, creating those documents that are going to spell out the terms and the responsibility. You know, when things are great and everyone's, you know, got these great ideas, you know, there's like butterflies and love, and you want to make sure that, you know, when the dust settles, that everyone knows what their roles are and what their responsibilities are, you know, should something happen. So laying out those, you know, those agreements with those founding partners or whoever you're working with. And then from there, you know, whether you have employees, independent contractors, those that are marketing, advertising, the developers, the chemists, the manufacturers, who are these, you know, these third parties that you're working with. You want to make sure that you've got all those agreements in place as well, because if one thing happens and say there's a product that, you know, didn't come through when it was supposed to, and now you've got back orders, and, you know, there, it's just, you know, there's so much at stake at that point, that if you don't have those legal documents in place, you're essentially setting yourself up for a disaster. And a legal disaster can end up, you know, bringing down a very, you know, a very great business for simple mistakes that were not in the foundation, you know, as you know, comparing it to a house, right? If there's cracks in the foundation, it takes one little storm to create the flood or to break it down. So you want to essentially set up yourself for success by having all those legal documents in place. With branding, it's so important with a branding business to trademark, copyright, get those documents in place. I mean, I literally just had another conversation with a business that wanted to get before investors and haven't even had any of these foundational documents in place. And of course, if you are looking for investment to grow that business, I can tell you investors don't have more than, you know, that allotted time to speak to you and to, you know, to make a decision on whether they're going to invest with you. And if you have not set yourself up with these foundational documents, and protected your brand, then what do you expect them to invest in? You know, a dream, a goal, you've got to really set yourself up for success by having those documents in place and protecting your brand, registering your copyrights, your trademarks, your designs, all these wonderful things that everyone has been speaking, you know, about today. There's legal documents behind everything. So you definitely want to make sure that those are ready to go as you're growing your business.
Yeah, I know a new brand is always like short on money. And so you're always trying to decide where you should put your money. But I definitely, I know with Fashion Mingle, you know, we've always tried to prioritize our legal work because there's too many cautionary tales out there of situations where something you haven't thought of can end up really impacting your business negatively. So I always do recommend that as well. I want to talk to Mary. Sharon was talking about branding, and I know, Mary, you talk about something called the 3 Bs. Now, I've never heard of the 3 Bs, brand, branding, and brand identity. And so did you come up with the 3 Bs yourself, or is this something in marketing?
No, it's actually, it's part of the branding. I mean, this is from the get-go for years and years and years. You know, the 3 Bs.
Tell us what the 3, tell us about the 3 Bs and like the steps someone should make when they're trying to figure out how to brand their business.
Well, the 3 Bs are branding, branding, and brand identity. Those are the 3 big Bs. The brand, the perception, is how people perceive your brand, the perception. The branding is, quite frankly, I'm trying to put it in words, the way companies would perceive it. And then the brand identities is the elements that you're going to be bringing in, describing to customers about your customers. So it's a very intrinsic type of process. So that's why when I was listening to all of these stories, I was trying to find out, because branding is consistency and flexibility, and what they were doing to set themselves apart with their brand. I really didn't hear anything in specifics. I heard about focus groups and doing all of these little things, but specifically, what I'm just throwing this question out because I was just curious of what people were doing in branding that set themselves apart, because it's the perception. How are you going to take your product and differentiate it from the pack out there? And it's an expansion of pack. I mean, just go on social media, you know, that tells the story. I mean, even for me, when I work with branding for many different companies that I do, I usually work with multiple platforms, but I usually stay with Instagram and YouTube. They seem to be the tellers. Even with influential marketing, influencers, there's influencers out there that charge a fortune, quite frankly. But there are also micro influencers that are equally as good and still have an engaging audience. So I didn't mean to tear away from the topic, but I've been hearing about this branding consistently from different people. And I just wanted to know, what was the deciding factor when they created the brand for their specific product? There had to be something that differentiated them from the pack. If you walk into Ulta, you walk into Sephora, I mean, just look around. You can be inundated with thousands of brands.
How do you stand out from that?
Well, I can tell you for my brand, for my brand, it was not only the airbrush product being the first organic airbrush, but it was also that finally, and I get this from almost every artist that I have worked with, finally we had shades, the correct shades to accommodate all skin tones. So this was the first beauty innovation, right? Because that is what, you know, airbrushing is. It's not your traditional makeup. It's not, you know, the way I look at it is that you would think traditional makeup would have had years and years and years to get this right. But they haven't. And we still are seeing an influx of, you know, brands trying to say that, oh, well, now we have this, you know, in 2020. So my brand was the first to not only be created by someone of color, but also now have the appropriate color tones, ranges, undertones, that
Well,
science is what I call it. Because
can you share with us, like, what was the one thing you did from a branding perspective that actually got you noticed? I mean, you said you were on HSN, right? Was that like your first big foray into promoting your brand, or did you do some steps before that in order to get on HSN?
Well, prior to, I mean, I was just known as a celebrity artist, right? I was just always in the background, you know, making people pretty. When I did Home Shopping Network, it was with another brand, and I have to say that that other brand really did not have all of the appropriate colors. And so when I decided to create my own brand, it almost was a I wanted to rebrand my brand, right? Because I wanted to finally say, okay, now I think we've gotten this right. You know, I was with another brand prior to this, and I could speak to having some colors that were good for darker skin tones, but to be quite honest and transparent, the brand did not have the right colors for all skin tones, right?
So is it mostly a word of mouth type situation where people started using your products because they knew you and you were promoting it within your network?
Correct.
Okay.
And again, it was, you know, I've always wanted to try this type of beauty innovation, but I saw, you know, from other companies' branding that they just did not have those tones. You know, I was the first to have a super, super, super black, like Vera says, pitch black girl on their advertising for airbrushing. So that was, you know, and this was 8 years ago, 6 years ago now. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Mark, can I ask a question?
Oh,
yeah.
On your brand,
Yes.
the elements, in other words, the packaging, the logo,
Yes.
the business cards,
Mm-hmm.
the wrapping paper, all of that, was that also branded?
It is. Yes, it is. It's Marc Harvey Beauty. And I have to say, Mary, that what I did was I leveraged my industry experience. So that was my branding, to your point. That was my branding. I leveraged my career in the industry as someone who has worked with, you know, Yolanda Adams and Fantasia and, you know, all of these beautiful Black actresses and singers and entertainers to create my brand. And because these artists and consumers alike have seen that, hey, he knows how to make her beautiful, you know, or he's worked with her, he's done this, you know, then that was my branding.
Well, Sue, you do some real interesting ways of promoting your brand because you have in-person events, you do corporate events, so you've had to deal with the packaging, you have to deal with the chemist part of it in a traditional production, but tell us about how you've used in-person events to promote your brand.
Well, it's such an interesting question because I'm actually going through this transition right now. When I first started my company, after I left Tiffany to have my daughter, I came up with the name Scenterprises. You know, one morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was thinking, I don't want to call myself Susan Phillips Enterprises as a consultant because they're 25 million, you know, Janie Smith Enterprises, blah, blah, blah. So I thought of Scent and Enterprises, and I thought, wow, that's a great name. So I trademarked Scenterprises, and my company is Scenterprises for the last literally 30 years. Well, when I started doing the corporate events, after, as I told you, all the consulting dried down in 2008, and I wanted to rebrand my studio in Tribeca, I didn't want to call it Scenterprises because it's a very corporate name. So I called it the Centarium as a destination. And some people said to me, wow, it's a great name. And some people said, well, it sounds like a sanitarium. What are you doing? So there was a little confusion. So under Scenterprises, I had the Centarium. And all the events were under, you know, I had my big banner, Scenterprises. And then when I was at the Centarium, we had Centarium. Well, now I'm at the crossroads once again, because people have said to me, marketing and branding explorations, when I've worked with marketing and branding agents, everybody has said, Sue, you are the brand.
Yes.
Without you, there's no Scenterprises, there's no Centarium. So I came up with Sue Phillips fragrance, or House of Fragrance.
Beautiful card.
So this
That
is
was my point.
So you're rebranding.
Oh, got it. Okay, so yes, everything across the board, Mary. Yes, everything is Marc Harvey Beauty. Yes. Yes.
And what I'm doing.
My logo, it's yes. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and this was something that I had done before I did, you know, I thought, well, why not have my signature, which I think is a nice signature. So now I'm literally at the crossroads. Everything I'm doing is going to be pivoting to Sue Phillips fragrance, not even House of Fragrance, just Sue Phillips fragrance, because I think that based on my business and who I am, and that I'm so authentic and so on, that I can eventually be Sue Phillips Bath and Body, Sue Phillips accessories, Sue Phillips makeup, Sue Phillips skincare. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am now Sue Phillips fragrance, and I have to reimagine my website, reimagine everything, and it's a big undertaking because I've actually had requests from an online beauty retailer, and they said to me, Sue, well, is it Scenterprises? Is it, what is it? So I'm really pivoting. And Mary, I'd love to spend time talking to you about this. I'm also very excited because I finally, at Wednesday morning at 1 o'clock in the morning, I finished my book. So the book has now gone to the editor, and I'm hoping in a week or two, it'll be all, there'll be no, and if there are edits or revisions, fine, but then I will be launching and publishing my book before the end of the year. So I think all that will help. And as I pivot towards Sue Phillips fragrance, it'll be Sue Phillips fragrance.
I want to work with you when I go to Philadelphia, because I'm doing an expo there, and it's very hands-on and interactive. And one of the things I did with Mode was I did aura photography. So I took the photography of the aura, and then I matched the fragrance with the aura. And it really worked so well. It's like, what's the scent of your soul? And they were looking for other programs besides just apparel stuff with a plus size woman. So I want to do that very hands-on stuff in Philly. So I think that would be great to have you come there. It would be a great event next year.
Well, I think this is a good time to bring Dee in, because Dee, I know Dee works with Vera, and you know, when you're pivoting like Sue is, you know, she's looking for new opportunities. She's going from fragrance, but she might also be going into skincare. Tell us, give us some tips on how to successfully pivot into new areas from a PR perspective.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Go Dee.
Oh.
You have to unmute her.
Yeah. Can you unmute yourself, Dee? Oh,
Dale.
Dee.
Okay, there we go. I think you're unmuted now.
Guys.
Okay.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was having issues with my Wi-Fi. So you wanted tips? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, what I was asking about, because Sue is pivoting, you know, she's rebranding her business after 30 years. She might be pivoting into new business lines. So from a PR perspective, I wanted to see if you could give us some tips on, you know, how to talk to the media, how to promote your company once you've pivoted to a different name.
Create events and.
I think once you start changing your name and kind of like, it's kind of, I call that like sort of like a rebranding, but not really. You're just going to creating a brand extension from what you've already created.
Oh man, we're still having internet.
I do think that the world is so much smaller now, and there's so many ways you can reach to.
Yeah,
I'll type it and send it over.
Yeah, send us tips
because I'm having issues. I don't know why. So weird.
It says your bandwidth is low. It says your bandwidth is low. But I just wanted to say, I don't want to hog time, but that's a really great point, Dee and Sue, about making sure everything still has that synergy and that it's from you, because you are the brand. When I launched My Skincare Organics, I didn't want to call it, which it's My Skincare Organics by Marc Harvey, which is what I'm pivoting into now, because at first I didn't want it to be Marc Harvey Beauty, because it is a gender neutral brand, and men don't like to buy skincare from cosmetic brands.
Yep.
And so I had to navigate that, which I have. I will say, I don't know who was talking about it. My sales have been amazing. It could be just because people are just at home buying online now, but I've been very blessed. And I would say a good 20% of my customer base are men now. And so what I have done is I have done events at, you know, Joe Malone, different fragrance places, different places where men go to get their, you know, I had an event at a really popular suit establishment here in Houston. And so I've gotten really great response, but noticed that, yes, I have had to do some type of pivoting, but still leveraging my career as the expert, right? The beauty and grooming expert, because a lot of my clients were also male actors and singers and celebrities. So yes.
Okay, so I want to bring in Dale and Ian, because Ian, you've been in the part of the business of actually creating the content, but Dale, with her modeling agency, you work with a lot of beauty brands, and so you have to actually choose what models are the best fit, right? How does that process work, and what are some tips for making sure that people are working with the right models for beauty?
Well, for beauty, we get to know our clients as best we can. We ask lots of questions, and we want to know their demographic and the people who are buying them now and where they want to be, so we can help bring their goals to fruition. We always offer diverse models, even if they're not asking for them, and open their minds to different things. Because sometimes a client will come in and be like, I'm looking for XYZ, and then through the discovery period, you know, we'll have a conversation like, oh, I never thought of that. So we try to always bring up options that they may not have thought of. Sometimes they come up with new products like that. We have models who are also makeup artists, and they are, one or two of them are successful influencers in the beauty space and cosmetics, so they always have great information to bring to clients, and they're always contacting us for ambassadors for their products, like Dee had just mentioned, which is a great idea to help in the branding. So even though we aren't a PR or branding company, when we're working with the clients and get to know them, we try to help them on all aspects of that and kind of open their minds. So people, it used to be always, they need perfect skin. Now we get some where there's a new company, well, they're not that new, but they just did a nice campaign with some of our models. And they are all about ageless products. It's called Color the World. And, before they didn't want different ages. Now this one's like encompassing everything. Some of the others, CoverGirl, I know Dee works with them. We do a lot of work with them as well. And they've been changing how they operate. A lot of them are promoting, organic and just clean the way Marc is doing. I think that is really good.
And if you have a brand now where you need to get some branding photography done or videos done, everybody is still operating during COVID, but there are ways that you can work with a model and a photographer and actually get the content created safely, right?
Yes, actually, we have some interesting photographers we work with. One named Kay actually does the photography through the computer, through the model's phone. So checking the lighting and making sure they get the right angles. We have many clients that are meeting in person, and we've had photo shoots here, but they have to have so many different things now with plexiglass or people in another room and everyone's separated and only the photographer could be with the model at some times. And as far as makeup, it's like everything's pretty much single use. So everyone's pivoted and making it work. And there are a lot more.
I was gonna say, or airbrush, it's touch free.
Yes, I love that. We definitely
that's right.
We need to talk.
Our shoots.
Yes.
Absolutely. And get it on our model.
That's great, yeah.
All your artists should be doing it. I do virtual trainings. That's all I'm doing right now. Virtual trainings.
By the way,
love that.
just go into the chat and leave your numbers and your emails. I put mine
thank you.
so it'd be great to
everybody feel free if you'd like people to reach out to you. Also, from our attendees, if you are a Fashion Mingle member, you actually can connect with our panelists through the chat on the platform. Ian, I wanted to talk to you about content creation. I mean, you obviously have worked with, major brands all over the world, and so the budgets for that are huge. So the quality is going to be amazing. But can you give us some tips for startup brands and smaller brands about what are the specific things that they need to keep in mind in order to create as professional content as possible?
I think the first thing that how I see the new market for a lot of startups is you can't go and make those $500,000 Maybelline commercials. It's a whole different structure. What you've got now is these next to free platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and it's amazing that every company in the world has now got a media outlet. So the trick to it now is to have an interesting story about your brand, have a production quality. See, the production quality and the bar of entry is now being pushed quite high, because once upon a time you couldn't go buy a 4 or 6K commercial camera because it was a $50,000 or $60,000 purchase. Well, now you can get a $2,000 camera that can do exactly the same as what a $50,000 camera used to be able to do. And it's now in the hands of the content creator. So what's happened is technology coming into the market has allowed all these companies, especially these younger startup ones, to be able to make high quality content and upload it onto these platforms. The biggest problem I see is cutting through the volume that's out there. And that comes back to where I started in advertising, a great idea that can translate out of paper into the world of branding content. That's the technology they use now.
No, we've got a little internet problem there.
How to get on my new computer.
Yeah. So Dee, you actually, I know you work with a lot of influencers because you have several clients in the beauty and wellness space. Give us some tips on working with finding the right influencer who's actually going to result in sales. Maybe is that possible?
Yeah.
I love what Ian shared about TikTok. Like, I mean, now it's a little hard because now only those who've had accounts are able to still use it, whereas the new ones, I think it's still a little tricky. But
we still have the problem. We don't.
It's still having issues with new. Like, if you're gonna start a TikTok account, I think it's a little harder now than if you already had an existing account. But really quick, I just wanted to give this really quick tip. You'll be surprised how much you could get accomplished by DMing specific people on IG that have a huge following, whether if you're trying to reach out to moms, reach out to mompreneurs, if you're trying to reach out to specific A, B listers, even C listers, but maybe they have 300,000 to 400,000 followers, you can reach out to them. I'm telling you, I've had like the best luck ever during COVID on doing barter. People just want to be busy, and models, as Dale mentioned, let me tell you, they are like the new influencer. I love them. I use them all the time. I use specific models that have a huge following, and they'll get paid with the product and whatever the rate is, but it's not as astronomical as you would think. I do think that is a very effective tool. If you have a beauty brand, reach out to makeup artists that are using makeup all the time. Have them do IG stories for you. Have them do TikTok. You'd be surprised how effective that is because they have real people following them. And, you know, that is one of the tools in my arsenal that I use for PR. And it's been very effective for a lot of the brands that I work with.
And I have a question about that.
Abby.
I know it's hard to follow. Because since we launched the rocking on Instagram and all kinds of social media, and we've had a lot of influencers, you know, they're really excited about this brand. It's very young, it's fun, it's cool. It's not, you know, the beautiful enterprises that Sue create, you know, it's a different vibe, right? It's like it's a kid's thing. So my question is, you know, they're all running after it, which is always exciting. But quite frankly, a lot of it, and a lot of them have deep traction, engagement, all that great stuff, doesn't really move for sales. And do you, I'm just putting it out there because I'm in with a lot of people all over the country. I just, you know, how do you feel about that? How do you measure it? Are you seeing people to convert? Because I think there are truly different tricks and tools to the trade for conversion. There's marketing and PR, there's excitement. It's great. And that brings, you know, the buzz, but conversion's a different thing.
Abby, so here's the thing, your target audience is very young. Like, is it Gen Z's, millennials?
Yeah, it's Gen Z, millennial.
Okay, so who's buying that? The moms. So you need to retarget, and you need to focus on who's got the spending money. The moms. So you need to reach out to the mom. You need to do like a cute video with the millennial kid or girl with their moms and do something cute, because
I have a bunch of those pictures. Yeah, that's cute.
Because the moms are the ones that are going to spend the money for their kids. The kids are like, oh my God, I love it. And yeah, they have a huge following, but the moms are going to buy it. I have the same issue with a brand that I rep that do like these aligners. And what we did was we took the aligners, we created a whole new branding, and now we're in talks with like some major retail brand.
Nice.
Because we had to say, okay, so what, you know, everybody has aligners. Like, what's a big deal about these aligners? So what we did is we partnered with beauty brands, and now it's all about oral beauty. And let me tell you, people are like buying this like crack. Like, it's like crazy because people are like, oh my God, that's such a great idea. So you got to think outside the box. Like, who has the purchasing power? Who is buying your stuff?
That's very interesting. Interesting. Thank you for that. That's a great, That I have a lot of moms and daughters send website Sparti Scents. You'll see a lot of young girls have sent in pictures where they can write it and show their picture, but many have come in with moms and daughters and sis. You know, it's really like a community building, which is
so
great.
maybe just something like holiday gift guides for mom and daughters or something cute like that.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we've gone over today. I had a really big panel, and I'm sorry that we went so far over, but we really appreciated everybody's insight and sharing the knowledge. Please, let us know if there's anything we can do to help you match you with any of these panelists who can help you with your own product launch. And we just hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you next time around.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you.
Really fun.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.